How are you guys enjoying the podcast?
But when something goes viral and it triggers,
Keeps things interesting.
The way you're talking about this, it's like a classified document.
I clicked on it and I was like, oh, I found it. But who's building these houses? Is he making it affordable for the builders to build the houses to then make affordable housing affordable for people who have low income?
7 years ago is when the new housing plan came out, and now it's all happening all over again.
Yeah.
We're seeing the exact same thing.
Yep.
These are the people that I'm going to be helping over the next 5 years. Everybody vote for me.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, what the heck are you going to do? I heard this speech 7 years ago.
We're going to have our first guest on the pod.
Guest.
What? Numero 8. Keeping it fresh. Wow, welcome, guys. We made it.
Past episode 7.
You know, I felt like we made it on episode 1.
Yeah, but you're like king of optimism.
No, I mean, seriously. I was like, we are here sitting in front of each other.
Well, we had to say if we liked it too, and I feel like we all drive really well.
I mean, I like you guys. You guys are all right.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And look, we don't even plan this, but can we just talk about what we just showed up?
It's perfect.
Yeah, love it. We're all matchy. We have to get a picture after this.
We're like
100%.
in sync now.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you guys enjoying the podcast?
I love it.
It's been solid, yeah.
I'm loving rewatching it because I genuinely forget
what
we talk about. And then, because we do film for our viewers, we do film a couple weeks in advance. But I genuinely forget what we talk about. And I'm like, okay, we talked about that. We can't talk about that the next one.
Yeah. And there's so much changing every single week.
Yeah.
There's, the new housing plan or the interest rates and how buyers feel, sellers feel.
Absolutely.
There's so much happening that it's nice to kind of just sit down, debrief, also have an audience kind of go through that change with us week to week.
Yep.
I love the feedback too. A lot of people have been reaching out. So if you're listening, and we love Instagram DMs, hit us up. Let us know how you like it.
Comment, and subscribe. I said it in the beginning.
Yeah. I think we created like a war on TikTok between
between the renters,
the renters and the landlords.
Yeah,
that's cool though. It's always good to get some good discussion going.
Yeah. Because sometimes people don't want to put their comments in, but when something goes viral and it triggers,
keeps things interesting.
And it's authentic. At the end of the day, there's things that are happening, and there's people on both ends.
Yeah,
of
people have opinions,
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And so if you're not being authentic in our comments, get a little bit more authentic. We are not going to cancel you ever. But you might be banned on TikTok. No bullying, no abuse. Let's just set the parameters out there.
Be polite. We're Canadian.
Actually, you can
thank
abuse me. Like, I can take it. You know, when people are don't actually abuse me, but when people think they get under my skin, they actually don't.
Yeah.
I've gone and done enough.
Yeah. Zen work.
Off the grid.
I'm viewing it from above. I'm kidding. Deepak Chopra said something to Oprah the other day. She's like, "Oh, so do you meditate 2 hours a day?" And I guess he's meditating on
who?
Deepak Chopra. He's like a medical doctor, but he's also like one of those spiritual people out there that talks about meditation and all that stuff. So he meditates 2 hours a day in the morning. Jesus. Oprah goes, "Whoa, that's insane. What are you meditating about?" So he uses it for stress management. And then he also meditates on the origins of the universe. What a thing to meditate about.
Wow.
Anyway, so then Oprah's like, "So you meditate for 2 hours a day?" And he's like, "Well, I'm meditating right now. I'm actually viewing both of us." And I was like, what the heck? I want to view myself. So right now I'm seated somewhere else viewing this conversation.
Interesting.
I'm actually not.
Interesting, Jen.
But yeah, so today, Alex, you had like a really...
I did have a good topic last podcast, but we keep our episodes to about 30 minutes or so. And this is like a humdinger. So because a couple of podcasts ago, again, we talked about the Renter Bill of Rights. So I actually finally found the document for solving the housing crisis, Canada's housing plan. So have you guys seen the document before?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to forward it to you after so you can see it.
The way you're talking about this, it's like a classified document, but
you can find it online.
Yeah, you can.
But I went through a wormhole and I clicked on it and I was like, oh, I found it.
Yeah.
So there's 3 sections. Building more homes, one. Making it easier to own or rent a home. We've already been through that. We went to that topic. Yeah. And then helping Canadians who can't afford a home. So the building homes one is basically just points on how to the government is giving incentives and tax breaks so they can build homes faster.
Yeah.
But I want to dig into, let me just scroll down, part number 3, helping Canadians who can't afford a home. So what do you guys think is in this section of the...
Probably programs that first-time buyers can potentially utilize in order to help them save for their first home. Sorry.
So that would be number 2, but you're onto something.
I would say homes that are only accessible to people that have lower incomes.
Okay, so you're onto something. Yep.
So certain communities where you have to be, there's certain parameters that allow you to buy in that area.
So the first point, I'm not going to go through all of them because there is quite a few, but I'm going to go through some of the main ones. The first one is there is an affordable housing fund to build affordable homes. So they have added another $1 billion to it, making it $14 billion. And this basically... it's to further support nonprofit cooperating, so co-op housing, and public housing providers to respond to the need of those impacted by the housing crisis. Provide support for Indigenous communities, Black-led organizations to increase housing that benefit Black households and women. So basically, it's for housing that's already, even though it says to build affordable housing, it's to renovate the current homes as well, right? So it's giving them money. So if people are moving out for some reason, they can renovate those units, but keep it affordable, right? They're not going to raise it like we've been talking about, raising it at an astronomical amount, which is great.
I have a question. So when affordable homes are being built,
yes,
what defines affordable?
So that could go, I haven't gotten that far, but from what I understand, they want to start building more co-op housing. And for those who don't know what co-op housing is, I have no shame to admit this. When I was younger, we were very, very poor, and we lived in co-op housing. And it's basically geared to your rent. So my mom was a single mother of 2 of us, and the rent was geared to her income, right? So you're not paying, even if it was like 20 years ago, and rent was, $1,500 back then for a 3-bedroom. Maybe she was paying like $900, right? Because it was geared to her income. So there's still technically affordable housing out there now. Not sure what those prices are for those people, but I did read in here, where is it? That there's only 47,000 co-op houses.
So is that in Ontario or is that across Canada?
See, that I don't know because it doesn't say it either. Okay, so let's just go step by step. So they're launching a new rapid housing stream as of December 31st, 2023. CMHC has committed $3.83 billion to create over 15,000 new affordable units. But my question is, for all of these things that Justin Trudeau has put out, yes, some of them are actually pretty good points. Like, I'm not going to knock the guy. Some of them are decent, but who's building these houses? Is he making it affordable for the builders to build the houses to then make affordable housing affordable for people who have low income?
I just heard that he approved some project to be built, and it's one of his friends out in Toronto right now. So, which ones is he approving?
Really?
Yeah, it was out in the news the other day.
This is Trudeau or Doug Ford?
This is a project that I think Trudeau's Liberal government greenlit.
Oh, God.
It has something to do with the people that he also knows out there. But so you're asking which builders are going to get the green light to have this surplus money to build the affordable homes.
Correct.
And where will these be?
Yeah.
See, that's where I want to get into this. I love the housing plan. When you look at it, it seems very hopeful.
It does seem very hopeful.
But then it's just this broad stroke. Where are the step-by-step plans of when something's going to happen and when it's going to happen?
Exactly. You're putting all this money towards something, but then what's the plan within that point, right?
Yeah.
What's the plan?
Also, I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but I know on the leasing side, there's programs that actually give, they'll actually subsidize rent for people that can't afford the rent. Let's say they're in, So I just put up my client's home for lease recently, and some of the applications that were coming through were actually being paid by the government or these government programs.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
So is that also a part of this affordability plan?
I think so, because it's going to be helping those who are in need, but I think they're focusing on specific communities, like single parents, the Black community, the Indigenous community. They're focusing on certain people who actually really, really need it. But the thing I read in here is that there's only, from what I understand, 47,000 units.
It's not
it's
enough.
not
No.
enough.
No.
Regardless of whether it's in Ontario, if it's
Yeah.
across Canada, it's even
Yeah.
worse.
And, you know, the mass majority of the population want to live in the GTA. They want things to
Mm-hmm.
be accessible to them. Not everybody wants to move to London or Windsor or Sarnia or,
Yeah.
you know.
So I pulled up the plan here as well. It says the plan lays out a bold strategy to unlock 3.87 million new homes by 2031. This includes a minimum of 2 million net new homes on top of the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation's forecast of 1.87 million being built anyway by 2031.
What was the number? Sorry.
So this is across Canada. So the plan lays out a bold strategy to unlock 3.87 million new homes by 2031.
By 2031,
Yeah.
yep. That's
Which-
ambitious, which and I'm not trying to knock their plan, but I don't think that's going to happen. What is that, 7 years? 8 years?
I'm trying to pull up a stat that I saw recently as well.
So this one also goes into, I know we're, guys, whoever's listening to this, we're jumping because this is how the three of our brains work when we were together.
Yeah.
But to date, the Federal Community Housing Initiative has already delivered over 150 million to ensure more than 47,000 homes can remain affordable to the vulnerable Canadians, including persons with disabilities, single parent families, seniors, and newcomers. Throughout the budget, we will propose flexibilities to the Federal Community Housing Initiative to ensure that eligible housing providers can access funds to maintain housing affordability for low-income tenants and co-op members. So, like, it's very vague.
Yeah.
It's very, very vague.
Yeah.
Like, I'm dumbfounded.
When I see something like this come out, and when I hear this on the news,
Yep.
in front of the little podium, the Gen Zs and the millennials are the ones that are working the hardest, and those
Yeah.
are the people that we want to be protecting. I went over to Vancouver, and I had a chance to speak with young Canadians, people in Vancouver, and these are the people that are making our economy run, and these are the people that I'm going to be helping over the next 5 years. Everybody vote for me.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, okay, what the heck are you going to do? I heard this
Yeah.
speech 7 years ago. So the more we get into this, the more it upsets me.
It upsets me too.
Unfortunately, this is where I have to go to my breath work, and I got to come out of this space. But no, I'm serious. My client right now, bless her soul, she has been working so hard. She's like, you know, I'm not going to say her age, but she's like a very hard worker, has her degree, has a job, and she barely is able to get into something that's like,
Yep.
'Cause
that's
even-
700, 800,000. And this is after saving
Yeah.
every penny and working
But
so
even if
freaking
you're,
hard.
like you said, if Justin Trudeau said the millennials and people, you know, in their late 20s and 30s, like, we're the next generation. If, like, one of my best friends, she was a nurse and COVID really messed her up, and she's like, I don't want to be a nurse anymore. She went into IT, into like tech,
Yeah.
and she makes a pretty good salary,
Yeah.
right? I'm gonna say maybe 70K a year.
Yeah.
That's decent,
Yeah.
right? What are you affording on 70K by yourself as a single person?
You're going to be renting for
You're
sure.
gonna be renting.
No,
Absolutely.
you can't
So what
qualify.
can you afford in the GTA for $70,000?
You can't afford anything.
Salary, nothing.
Yeah.
You need to either buy with a family member, a friend, or you need to have your mom and dad gift you money from their equity of their home. So would someone who makes $70,000 qualify for affordable housing? Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not. When it's sad to say that $70,000 gets you diddly squat right now.
I know.
Even to qualify for rent by yourself as a single person.
Absolutely, for sure.
When they're like,
You're
oh,
right.
it's not enough income. I just had another application come in with a couple who have 150K combined income. I'm
Low
going to pick
income,
them.
Yeah, for sure. There's more security for them. So I found this stat. So it's from Brad Lamb, who's a pretty reputable builder
Yeah,
in
he is,
Toronto.
yeah.
So it's what you said, Jinder. So it's been reported that by 2030, Canada needs to produce an extra 3.5 million homes to balance the supply and demand curve for housing. This is above and beyond the 250,000 new homes created each year. So in order for that to happen, banks would need to increase their annual construction lending exposure from currently what it is, 113 billion to 595 billion.
Wow.
5 times their current capital lending for housing. And he just said straight up, this is not possible.
No.
And I agree. I don't think it's going to happen. Obviously, it's nice to say that, yeah, you're going to build X amount of
X amount of homes.
by
But again, we're going to
2030.
go back to who is building
Yeah.
the homes. Who is building the homes? Because then, okay, so. no,
I
go
don't
on,
think
Jen.
it's
Go on.
one person to blame. I'm not here to, point all my fingers at a specific person or a specific government or anything. There are some things that are being done right. There are a lot of very smart people that are older now. Like, what's the generation above Gen Z and Gen Millennials?
I don't
What are
even
we?
know.
I have no idea.
I don't even know. Ian, you're
Yeah.
anyway, Gen X or whatever. People that are in those boats, they've learned how to make money and they learned how to protect their money, and they're just going to make more and more and more money.
Yeah.
They're living off of their interest on their investments and just paying capital gains tax or whatever, right? So I do like the part. I also don't, because, we're all moving to get into that space, but there is going to be some money being taken from that top range.
Yep.
So that the people that are now working really hard, a little bit of a shift needs to occur.
Yep.
But when it comes down to, are these homes going to be built, and when is it going to be done by?
It's who it's going to be done by. So the first part of the housing plan is, building more homes. That's first,
what needs to happen.
That's the first point.
Mm-hmm.
And the first, making the math work for home builders, because you need the home builders to build the homes.
Mm-hmm.
Introducing an accelerated capital cost allowance for apartments. So increasing the capital cost allowance from 4% to 10% will incentivize builders to get more projects moving, because then it essentially makes them pay less taxes, right? If their capital allowance was from 4% to 10%, they can say, oh, well, my depreciation of my asset here is now 10% a year. They're paying less taxes, which means they have more money to invest in building the homes.
Correct. And they also came out with something, I don't have the exact stat on it, but they came out with something for developers building purpose-built rentals. In regards to HST. I don't know what the exact
GST.
measure.
So so expanding the removal of federal taxes GST for new rental projects and co-ops, which will estimate to kickstart construction of 300,000 new homes. So I mean, that's good. So it's basically telling the builders that we'll waive the GST if you build homes,
build rentals,
build rentals and co-ops,
purpose-built rentals,
But
so they're trying to gear which homes are going to be built by putting these certain incentives in place.
Correct.
And they're saying those are the homes that Canadians need for us to solve the housing crisis.
Yes.
Do you think those are the houses that Canadians need?
I think there is, because if they do what they say, let's say they build the 300,000 homes.
Okay.
Okay, wait, pause. I want to go back because I do have a stat. In 2022, Ontario saw the second highest number of housing starts since 1988, with just over 96,000 new homes starting to be built. This is a 30% higher annual average than the past 20 years, and this is just Ontario. Canada-wide, we're down 7%. So this is the federal budget, right? They're talking about 300,000 homes Canada-wide. Actually, 2023 housing starts were down 7% with 223,000. So if they're on track 300,000 a year, I mean, it's a positive thing, right? We're building more homes, but at what rate can these builders build?
Go on.
Wait, so you said 223 housing starts in 2023?
223,000.
223,000. So how are they going to build 3.5 million homes by 2030? I think 250,000 is the norm, right?
About let's say,
and they're also trying to control which ones are going to be built.
Which ones are going to be built
by changing certain things.
So let's just say 220,000 homes times 8. That's 1,760,000 homes. So what did we say? 3 million?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it was 3 million on top of 3.5 million on top of the
the
250 is the standard.
Like
250 is the standard right now, and then so whatever 250 times times 6, and then 3.5 on top of that. That's my understanding of it.
Oh,
yeah,
that's the way it was written.
Because if they want 3 million homes built in the next 8 years, that's 375,000 homes a year.
Yeah, and like you said, in 2022, in 2022 we were up, but 2022 was
in Ontario.
But 2022 was an insane market.
Yep.
So everyone was buying, everyone was selling, and things were going up. And
you know what else is helping the housing crisis?
What?
I just heard that in 2022, 121,000 Canadians left the country.
Yeah.
They actually went stateside. I went over to America. That was a 71% increase from the year prior.
Wow.
Really?
That was one of the biggest exoduses that ever happened.
But the year prior was COVID.
True.
So
true.
And no one was I feel like everyone was just staying, right? You really couldn't leave.
So, I mean, there's a reason why a lot of people were leaving, probably because of, a whole bunch of different reasons at that time because of all the
COVID.
restrictions.
Yeah, 100%.
But that's huge.
But then they're also they're making programs easier and faster. So they're extending the term of loans offered, extending access to fundings to include housing projects for students and seniors. So, I mean, if the population, whoever's listening to this wants to read this document, it's 28 pages. There is a lot of information in here. And yes, some of it is good. I can appreciate some of the points because, again, they're going into the right direction, but we still have questions that need to be answered. So for the builders that are going to, if you're a builder, put yourself in a builder's mind.
Okay.
What would you rather build? A home that's going to profit you more money or an affordable housing home that's not going to profit you more money? Like, the cost to build a home is still a cost to build a home. Are you going to get cheaper materials because you're building an affordable home? I don't think so. Like, you're still buying the same materials from Home Depot.
Yeah. So, I mean, everybody would answer that question one way only. So the only way I see builders building those specific type of homes is if that plan actually enforces those incentives.
Correct. 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what it is? This housing plan is very ambitious. I actually do think that there's some good things in it.
Yep.
Who comes up with this housing plan? Is it just the federal Liberals that came up with this, or was it
that I don't know. That's a good question.
So
I think there's like a housing minister, isn't there?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
Cynthia Freeland has something to do with it as well. The deputy
Yeah.
president? I don't know.
Actually, I have a quote from the Toronto's Planning and Housing Chair.
Okay.
A couple of days ago, he said, something is seriously wrong with the market when we have housing that nobody wants and homelessness at the exact same time. There's something seriously wrong. Last episode, we were talking about how Toronto's a ghost town, how there's all these condos that are available right now for sale. Nobody's wanting those because, they're not affordable.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, that's the biggest thing, right? I'm sure if people could, as we were saying, the person on a $70K salary would love to buy a condo, but number one, they can't afford it, and number two, they can't qualify for it.
And prices aren't going to decrease.
No.
Let's face it. Like, we had a dip in from after COVID happened, but those prices obviously should not have been those prices, right? They should have never got there. But prices aren't going to decrease $300,000 for someone with a $70K.
Yeah.
Like, back 10 years ago when the Toronto condo market, you could buy a condo for $300,000.
Yep.
It's crazy that in 10 years or however long it's been, the prices have gone up this much.
Yep.
So when you're making $70K 10 years ago, you can afford $300,000. Easy peasy by yourself. So where can you afford $300,000 now? Again, London, Windsor.
Yep.
Like,
And coming back to
New Brunswick.
I loved watching you guys trying to do the math of how many homes need to be built per year and if that was even going to be the number that they put in the plan. After unveiling this plan, Trudeau just said, one of the things that needs to be done is more homes will be built faster than we've ever seen in generations.
oh God.
That's okay.
That's
I
like the
get
biggest
it.
eye
You
roll.
can just throw things out there.
You can say whatever you want to say. You can
But-
say there's going to be 6 million homes built by 2035.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
just like,
but you
it doesn't
just
make a
sitting there
difference.
in that moment and just thinking, okay, wow, the most we've ever built is this number. Now we got to double that
Double it.
to reach this. And then you have him coming out here and just saying, we're going to build more than we've ever built in all of generations.
You got to look at the
man.
facts.
Yeah.
But we also need more tradespeople. I think I didn't read anything in there, but I remember, I don't know if I was daydreaming or what I was reading, but there has to be something out there to incentivize more people to do trades. We need electricians, we need builders, we need plumbers, we need all of those people. And this is what immigration brings too. You have people immigrating to Canada going into these apprentice programs for 12 weeks, 16 weeks, 20 weeks, and then they're certified. It doesn't take a long time to get into apprentice program, right?
One thing I love about our team is despite all of this stuff that's happening and despite these people that can't get into that condo market, we focus on helping people build wealth.
Yep.
Christy and Jeff, we have models set up where we start telling people like, listen, this might not be the house that you want to live in for the rest of your life, but let's get you into the market.
Yeah.
What can you afford? And let's go figure out a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plan to help you build some wealth and then get into the position that you want to get into. That's one of the reasons why I personally love being on this team because despite the fact that there's not affordable housing out there, despite the fact that a lot of our clients, first-time home buyers, are on incomes of $70,000 each, which isn't a low income.
No.
That's, even pharmacists right now, that's a $70,000 income. You've gone to school for 4 years. You've gotten your bachelor's and now you're working at a Shoppers as a pharmacist. For your income to jump up, you would have to start to own that Shoppers, and then you're going upwards to 100 to whatever. It's not that much. I mean, it's quite a bit of
Yeah.
income, but you're not affording much. So we're actually helping people figure out what they can do right now to get into these homes.
This is a serious topic. I could talk for hours about this. We could just debate for a long time about this. And I know we're already cutting our podcast short again. Like I feel like we've been talking for 5 minutes, and it's been almost the end of our podcast here. But
yeah, there's a lot to unpack.
so much to unpack. And it's a serious topic because Canadians want to know that they don't want to live in the boonies. Right?
Yeah,
they want to live in
everyone's dream is
civilization.
to live in the GTA and have it at an affordable amount.
Yeah.
I think it's probably not going to happen again. Like it's never going to be affordable.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. You will need to, like I said, buy with a friend, buy with a family member.
Multiple friends.
Like co-live, but not co-live. Maybe someone lives in the basement, someone lives up top.
That's what's happening now,
that's-
right? Or the alternative is renting, right? Just being a renter.
Yep.
Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Home ownership is not the end all be all. I know obviously like we're real estate agents, so that's what we do.
Ian's
But
never against renters, yeah.
no, it's
When I used to live in the States, I obviously made a lot of friends out there. So now when I post $1 million home, they're thinking, oh my gosh, you're like in luxury real estate.
Oh my God. You see like the things on Instagram that's like what you can get for $500,000 in Texas.
in Texas it's crazy.
Holy smokes, you're killing it.
Like
out
Patrick
there.
Mahomes' house in Texas is like $500,000.
Yeah.
That's like a game for him. That's a game check.
So the other day I was
That's wild.
It's wild.
I had a little bit of hate toward coming at me on the gram for saying something which was so funny. It wasn't like bad hate. So I'm talking to some people on the streets here in Streetsville near our office, and I'm like, so like, how much do you think a condo is? And some people are like, oh, I don't know, like maybe $1 million now. And I'm like, actually, I got some good news for you. The average condo is actually only $728,000. Isn't that amazing? Like,
oh my God.
oh, this is great news, isn't it? They're like, yeah, it's better news. And so then people are jumping at me like, what are you talking about? That's better news. That's a shoebox. And I'm thinking, it's good news.
Yeah.
This is good news.
It is good news that the condo market isn't going up drastically. Like the last thing I want to see is downtown Toronto turn into New York, right? Where you're getting a 800 square foot condo for $3 million. Like that's when
I feel
things
it's
are
gonna come
just
to that point one day. Just
well,
not today.
maybe in 20 years, but I hope not anytime soon.
Well,
like
I mean,
Hong
the
Kong.
stats are pointing in less than a decade, the average home is going to be 2.1. And that's at a 5% increase per year. That's lower than the actual.
But pause, that's also everything combined divided.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Right,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
People have
that's
to take
pulling
that
up
in.
everything
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yep.
But I feel like we could just keep chatting and chatting and chatting.
We could,
Yeah.
yes.
I love the fact that we dove into this housing plan
Yep.
because it's important that people actually understand what's happening behind the scenes on a federal level.
Yep.
And then also holding the government accountable to these things. And the only way that's going to happen is through conversations.
No one holds the government accountable. It, like you said, that quote you read was 7 years ago. What has happened until then? Yes, there's been houses that have been built, but not as much as they need.
You know,
And they finally, like, I don't know if someone can show me something that happened in the last couple budgets that has a plan like this.
we need people on the streets saying we're hungry, we're angry,
this
and we have no place to
Oh
stay.
my God.
You know what? History just repeats itself. That was
It
7
does.
years ago. 7 years ago is when the new housing plan came out, and now it's all happening all over again.
Yeah.
We're seeing the exact same thing.
Yep.
And I always say the change has to begin here. So we're talking about this.
Yeah.
Everybody, go crazy in the comments.
Yeah. And maybe just go and vote at the next election.
There we go.
Yeah, it's
So,
important.
Anyways, let's not get into that.
Yeah, let's
So,
not get into that.
What was this,
Um,
episode 8?
Episode
man.
8,
So
yes.
for those listening, next episode, we're going to have our first guest
Our
on the
first
pod.
guest.
What?
We'll keep
It's
it
a
as
secret.
a surprise
It's a
who
secret.
it is.
It's
But
a secret.
Yes.
Yeah. We're going to get into our guests.
Do I know who the guest is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know the guest. This is exciting. All right. Oh my gosh. Can you like whisper it over here?
No.
Okay.
I'll tell you,
Yeah.
I'll tell you off
That's gonna
cam.
be fun.
It is
Because I
gonna be
think
fun.
when we started, we wanted to have guests on this.
Yeah, we're gonna get other realtors' perspectives and other
Yeah.
people's perspective, not just realtors,
Yeah.
on the market, the housing market, the future, the everything.
Yeah.
So
It'll be
it's
cool.
gonna be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right, guys.
Awesome. Thanks
well,
for
that was
tuning in.
amazing.
That was so much fun. That was so quick.
Yeah, keeping it fresh.
Holy
Keeping it
hell.
fresh.
Yeah,
Let's
you
go.
know, I had a fresh cut for for the actual episode, but then we had to push the podcast.
Oh, did we?
Oh,
So
did we?
I can't
I
get
didn't
2
know that.
haircuts in a week.
Yeah.
That's just crazy. I could have actually.
Okay. I gotta go.
All right.
I gotta pick up my son.
All right, guys.
Thanks for
See you guys
tuning in.
later.
That was fun.
Bye.
See you guys next week. Sam.